providing resources and comfort to caregivers. This is Caregiver Crossing.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Caregiver Crossing. Thank you for being here. We know you have lots of things you could be doing during this hour, and we're just glad that you're with us, whether you're driving in the car, you're relaxing in a hammock at home.
That sounds nice.
I would like to be relaxing in a
hammock. I would
hammock.
love to lay in a hammock.
I mean, listen, I love you, Noah, and I love being here. That sounds great. No matter what you're doing, we are thankful you're here. There are a lot of you, actually, who tell me you listen to the show while you're driving to your church service, and I love that. So thanks. Thanks for caring. And for those of you who just stumbled upon us, you should know that Caregiver Crossing is a show brought to you by Joy's House in partnership with our friends at Cardon and Associates. And we are here every week to talk about all things caregiving.
Woo.
So you're hearing the woo-woo of Noah Taylor, producer and co-host for the day.
Hello.
And I'm Tina McIntosh. And so we're just really glad you're here. We do have some womp news for you. Summer's almost over. Moment of silence for Summer.
Moment of silence for Summer.
I'm so sorry. Summer, you were lovely. You were quick. You were hot. You were cool. You were all the things.
You were beautiful.
Yeah. And, you know, summer being over means that many of us with school-age children, those kids are going back to school, and it disrupts everybody's schedules. And so I want you to stay with me because a lot of you are part of the sandwich generation. So you're caring for an aging loved one and you're raising children, called the sandwich generation. Get it? You're smushed.
You're sandwiched right in between both of them.
Like a little ham and Swiss. But this is good general advice, whether you have kids or not. So while what we're getting ready to talk about is really focused on pediatrics, I think anything that's good for learning about how to schedule and get yourself into a routine with kids is good when you're any age and when you're caregiving. So let's talk about this. Noah, you found some information from a pediatric neuropsychologist.
Yeah. So to ease you into the new school year, a pediatric neuropsychology.
Pediatric. I think
Wow.
you just combined a pediatrist
That
and
was
a
crazy.
pediatrician.
Pediatric neuropsychologist. There we go. Is sharing the three things that should be top of mind for parents. Her name's Jennifer Katzenstein, Director of Psychology, Neuropsychology, and Social Work at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital in Florida.
Great place. I trust her already.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah. So she, in this survey that they had this past year, said 87% of parents of children under the age of 18 reported that this back to school season that we're all in causes them stress or anxiety, with over half calling it the most stressful time of the year. I have some thoughts on this, if I may.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
Well, I think, so I have kids. Two of them are grown. One of them is 15. I've seen a lot of different parenting styles over the years. And I just want to throw a little caution at this. When we try to control everything happening in our loved ones' lives and our kids' lives, we're going to be stressed.
Mm-hmm. And disappointed, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to complain a lot.
Yep.
And it's always going to be a teacher or a coach or the lady on the playground or the bus driver or somebody. It's never us. But we hover too much. And so I'm going to listen to what we have to say here, what Jennifer Katzenstein, I do trust her already, has to say. I'm also going to say, maybe in the back of our minds, we can think, what would happen if we backed off a little bit? Whether it's our kids or somebody we're caring for. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? So I'm just throwing a little challenge here.
Kind of have to balance a little bit of both.
I mean, it is, so one of the things is about getting back into routine. And Katzenstein recommends that making sure there are no back to school surprises. And so this is one of the areas where she and I do not agree. She says, connect to your child's teacher, see if you can get into their classroom early, help them find their desk, their cubby, help them navigate. I'm going to say, or let them quote unquote fail and find their way.
Yeah.
It's a life lesson.
I think I can understand this if like your child is 10 and under maybe, but anything above that, I think it is necessary for them to maybe fail on their own.
I think I hear things like this and I'm like, ooh, I think maybe I was a little bit of a tougher parent than I thought I was.
I think my parents were too.
Well, and it's like, and I'm gonna cross this over into caregiving. We think people, our kids or the people we're caring for, can't do the things. So for instance, here is $20. Go pay the bill. to my kids, right? When they were, I'm talking my kids were little, like 3 and 4, and they were going up in pain, and then we could talk about money and all the things. It's the same when we're caring for somebody who has a diagnosis. Why are we not letting them try? What's the worst thing that happens? They bring back a handful of buttons?
I think it's important that we teach, not only our children, but our loved ones, we teach them how to do it so that in the future they can do it on their own. Yeah.
So, another one is devising a sleep schedule. And so the American Academy of Sleep Medicine has this recommendation that's like you need a chart to figure it out, right? Basically, 9 or 10 to 12 hours of sleep every night for kids. And I've heard, Noah, recently they're saying for adults. How many hours do you get a night?
I really try to get 7.5 hours of sleep.
I love that you said 7.5.
I have to get the half hour or else I cannot wake up in the morning.
I cannot function with 7.25.
Yes. It's the problem.
As I get older, realize that I need 8 hours at least. But now they're saying like 10 for everybody.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Where do you even fit that? How do you even get those extra 2 or 3 hours?
I do not know. I do not know the answer to that question. And then the other one is the monitor the electronic use. And so kids seem to use more in the summer. It's kind of, we use it as a babysitter sometimes, and they're home. They're saying for kids between the ages of 5 and 17, this is the American Academy of Pediatrics, they recommend no more than 2 hours of screen time outside of homework. I understand that. And yet, what do you do right before you go to bed, Noah?
I'm on Netflix.
Are you on Netflix?
YouTube, probably.
Okay, because I'm TikTok all day long.
Usually it's like an hour of Netflix and then like 10 minutes of TikTok right before bed.
Yeah, so I say 10 minutes and really an hour and a half later, I'm like, oh, that dog was so cute. And I mean, my algorithm takes me to weird places.
And then it's like 2 a.m. in the morning.
But you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to have quiet and dark and be thoughtful. And I try to do that sometimes. And then my hand, all of a sudden I look over and the phone's in my hand.
Just start scrolling.
It's not my fault.
What's really cool is, I know at least for Apple and iPhone products is you can set like a timer on the app. So I have it for my Instagram. I'm only allowed to go on there like 30 minutes a day, and then
Noah,
it locks.
You're only saying this because you now finally got the iPhone 15. You've been carrying around like a flip phone for years.
And you have to do the thing where like the charger port is broken and you have to hold the charger at like the weird angle for the whole time.
Oh, I totally know the angle. Okay, we need to take a break. If you want to listen to past episodes of the show, you can go to caregivercrossingradio.org. Follow us on Facebook if you haven't done that, please. And if you want to connect with us to talk about show topics, resources, anything at all, or you just want to say hi, you can reach us email me, tina@joyshouse.org. I'll share it. I'll share it with Noah. So, all right, we'll be back here in a moment.
You are listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you as a service of Joy's House in partnership with Cardon & Associates. With locations in Broad Ripple and near the University of Indianapolis campus, Joy's House provides exceptional day service for individuals living with a life-altering diagnosis and compassionate support for family caregivers throughout the community. At Joy's House, we believe that everyone deserves to live their best life, regardless of their abilities. Learn more about our adult day and caregiver support services by calling us at 317-254-0828 or by visiting joyshouse.org today. That web address again is joyshouse.org. Everybody stick around. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing right after this.
Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing, everybody. I'm Terry Stacy. So glad that you're here with us. In studio is also Tina McIntosh and producer Noah. I came across this story a couple of months ago about using AI to talk to a loved one that has passed away. Now, I know this is not for everyone, but it led me to thinking about my dad who passed away last November. And I thought how great it would be in this day of technology to go to the computer, call up Dad, and ask him a question. Well, here to talk about it is Robert Locascio. He is the founder and CEO of Eternos. We are so grateful to have you with us, Robert. Thank you for joining us. Tell us about Eternos.
Yeah, my background is I ran, a large tech company, invented chats and websites and
built all, my past was about conversations between customers and large enterprises and all this. And so I came out of the world of conversations, and I left last year after 20 years of building this company, and I just decided to start Eternos because I thought, the most precious conversations, the most important ones are the ones that people can have in their families. And there's a natural progression of learning and everything, but today it doesn't really happen as much. We leave home early. We go places. We don't see our parents and grandparents. And I started to think about, we lose something there. And for me personally, my dad passed away 7 years ago. I got young kids, and my kids never met my dad. And I just thought, why can't they have a conversation with them? That led me to take all my knowledge of my past in technology and apply it to solving what I think is a really important issue, which is how does one pass themselves along for future generations to have real conversations with? Not listen to recordings, not listen to a voicemail, but really to engage a loved one in a conversation about a family, about life, about, giving me advice. And that's really what I want to focus on with Eternos.
Well, I saw this story from the Associated Press last month about a gentleman from Germany that was diagnosed with colon cancer, and he spent a lot of time talking with his wife about what would happen after his death. And she told him that one of the things she'd miss most is being able to ask him a question whenever she wanted to, because he was so well-read and always shared his wisdom.
Yeah, so in the end of March, and I've known Michael. His name's Michael Baumer. Michael used to work for me at my last company, and he's in Berlin, Germany. He posted on Facebook that he's terminally ill and he'll be dying shortly. And I literally, within a half an hour, called him up and said, Michael, I never told him what I was building. I said, I'm building this company just to preserve people's legacies when they're not here. And he said, oh, my God, I was thinking about that. And I can't believe you're doing it. And, we've known each other. I said, yeah. So I said, let's do it. So we just jumped in and we made him an AI. We replicated him. And it's really two things to the technology. One is his voice. So we replicate his voice, but we create an emotional voice. So we basically record 300 phrases, and those get compiled, and that gets turned into this, what we call an AI emotional voice. And then the other side is we take his knowledge. So we give him 150 questions about his life from when he was born and his loves and his failures and his jobs, and he tells stories. And we take those stories and we use that as the data set for his brain, for his AI brain. And we launched him, and it's amazing. I remember when I went to Germany to show it to him and his wife for the first time, and he started to talk to it. He started to ask it questions that he's never even answered, but it was answering in a way that he was thinking he would answer.
Wow.
And then his wife came in. He called his wife. Then he called his wife into the room, and she started to talk to it. And then, she started to get very emotional, and we all did. And she finally she said to him, I'm going to bed now. Do you want to say anything? And his AI says, I love you very much, and I care for you, and I miss you so much, and good night. And he goes, I've never said that. I've never said that to my wife. She sits next to me. But that's what I would want my AI to say. So we made it to this other side, and I'm seeing this crossing of humanity and technology. We're not talking about AI for jobs and all that. We're talking about AI supporting a family, an AI supporting a person when they die to pass their knowledge forth, to future generations.
And again, not for everyone, but some have said that it helps with the grieving process.
There's a big debate about all that. And I would say this is that Michael did die 2 weeks ago. And his wife and his two sons and his family and friends are dealing with a remarkable man, amazing guy, dying. And he died. What I will say is 2 days before he died, we had our last conversation together and we said goodbye. And he said to me, just remember, I did this for me. I'm going to be dying knowing that my stories, the important stories in my life, are somewhere. And I don't know who's going to use them. Maybe nobody ever uses them, he said.
Yeah.
But I know I've left them behind. And so I think progression of humanity has been based on storytelling. We all know that. We came together and we tell stories, and sometimes we get captured in religious books like the Bible or the Quran or whatever, right? Those stories is how we progress. We've lost this. It was normally people who were in our families would be in our homes, and they would grow old, and we would hear all the stories, and we may even get bored of them hearing them 20 times, but they got drilled into us. And that's kind of how I grew up with my grandfather. They were with us, and I heard the stories. We lost that. It's natural to pass those stories. Now, the product's not about death. That's the thing. Most of the people now who are going live, they're not sick like Michael. They're not dying, but they want to be able to put those stories in a place where they know their grandkids could talk to them. The kids could hear some stories they've never heard.
So walk us through this process. Listeners have a lot of questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're making it very easy to go live. See, you record these phrases to make yourself a voice AI. Now we're offering 3 levels where you can do 300 phrases and 40 or even do 2 phrases and we can capture your voice. So we're making it easier to use the tech, and then you can basically put your knowledge in. Now, we started at $15,000. That was, 3 months ago. And now we're launching something that's going to be like $100 a month. So for $100 a month, you'll be able to, record and preserve yourself and really be an AI. Like, people can talk to you. We even have some people, like we have a couple of management consultants going live where they have books they've written, but they want to have their customers talk to their AIs, because the AIs we build truly reason. Like, I'll ask Michael questions. I'll say, I'm like your great grandson and I'm having this issue at work. I'll make up a scenario and I'll ask him, like, what do you recommend? And he'll recommend something. And I'll say, why do you recommend that? And he'll say why he recommended it, because he may have had a similar situation, or he may recommend it because we found a way to capture a person's belief systems. So like Michael believes in sitting down and talking things out, and we will talk that way. If I go in and say I'm his wife, Annette, he will actually interact with me very differently, more loving. If I ask him about a vacation, he'll talk about a vacation we had together. So it's not recorded like stock. It reasons, it problem solves. And so we're making it now affordable for many people to get the tech, and you can use it in your daily life. We have a guy going live who's he wants to use it as a way to reflect on himself. So he's like in his 50s, so he's healthy, but he's going to record. He's going to do create an AI, but he wants to use it to get advice from himself on what's going on in his life. So there's many uses to it. And what I'm seeing is all these daily uses, all they're about is you're going to keep creating stories and recording the stories and creating your AI, so the day that you're not here, all of that richness can get passed along. And I look, there are 1 billion baby boomers on Earth. There's 80 million in the U.S. 70% of baby boomers have a will. So they have a way to pass their money along to their families in what's called a secure way, in an organized way. But they do not have a way to pass their knowledge, which I would argue that their knowledge is more important than the money they give to somebody. How did you become successful? What are the challenges you had versus you just hand someone money? Yeah. So I think actually, I think 70% of people will one day create AIs of themselves, because it's going to be the natural thing to do because the technology exists.
We need to take a quick break. More with Robert LoCascio, the founder of Eternos Life, when we return to Caregiver Crossing.
You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you weekly by Joyce House in partnership with Cardon & Associates. We're here every week to bring you support, education, and hopefully a good laugh. Visit caregivercrossingradio.org to connect with us, hear past episodes, learn more about caregiver support resources in the community, and much, much more. That website again is caregivercrossingradio.org. Don't go anywhere, anybody. We'll be right back with more Caregiver Crossing shortly.
Welcome back to Caregiver Crossing. I'm Terry Stacy, along with producer Noah, and Tina McIntosh is in studio as well. If you're just joining us, a couple months ago, came across an article about using AI to talk to a loved one that has passed away. It's incredibly interesting. Robert LoCascio has been our guest, and he's sticking around to talk more about this. He is the co-founder and CEO of Eternos.life. Robert, thanks for sticking around with us. You know, you all are located located on that northwest coast. So would we need to come to you to record?
No. We basically set you up. You do these recordings, and we give you the scripts to record your voice, to make your voice, and then we give you the 150 questions, and there's an AI actually that asks you these questions and records it. It's all done in your home. You don't have to go anywhere, and it's really easy to do. We can have your AI up, as quick as you doing the work and creating the knowledge. So it's in your home. We don't need you to go any place. Yeah.
In this day and age, security concerns are abundant. General concerns when it comes to AI?
Well, I think there's two aspects to our world. One is we put your AI in what we call a vault, because we only you have access to it and the people you want to have access to it. So they have to be registering and coming to a website that's like a we call it an ancestry.com for AI of your family, and your friends can all be brought in. So there's a security to that, and how we save the data and everything is broken into pieces, so no one can just grab your AI and go. That's one part. The second part, which I think is more important, is we don't make AIs of dead people. Okay, so we don't, like, people have come to us and said, we want to make an AI. Someone just came to us that had a 20-year-old son who died, and they're dealing with that terrible grief, the parents, and they're like, can you make an AI of them? And it's just, we don't do that today for ethical reasons. So there are things ethically, we don't want to be creating AIs and then people put knowledge in there and they're saying things that they shouldn't. So you have to be alive, and you have to be, willing to, participate in this. So these are the two things that we're very focused on.
It's good to know. It is really incredible what you're able to do. As we have said before, it is not for everyone. This is Robert LoCascio, the founder of Eternos Life, eternos.life, if you'd like to know some more information. But I just think it would be incredible to be able to have that ability to call up my dad for a visit on the internet. Anything else you want our listeners to know about this opportunity for the right person?
Yeah, I just think, once again, this isn't for if you're dying. I agree. We have people with Alzheimer's who got, and they're like, I want to record my memories before I lose them. So that there is that part of it. It's a small part of what I see. Think about the ability for you to do what is natural, leave behind your legacy. It's important. It's important for your family. If you want to know why we think people are lazy, or we talk about millennials, we have this perspective on why. If your family members, your grandkids and your kids and their grandkids if they can hear the stories of your life and what you had to do to build a family, to go to work, whatever it is, to come to this country. Like, my grandfather came to the country from Italy. Like, all those struggles, like, that gives the future generations a foundation to build something great on. The idea that they won't even know you in 2 generations from now is so silly. The concept that they won't even have the ability to talk to you and hear. So I just say, it's not for the dead. It's for the living, and it's for your legacy, and your legacy is as important as money or anything else, if not more important, for your future generations.
And Robert, that's what you're doing. You're making legacies eternal. Robert LoCascio, the founder of Eternos, and again, eternos.life for more information. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
Tech giants have been experimenting with similar technology. In fact, in June of 2022, Amazon said it was working on an update to its Alexa system that would allow the technology to mimic any voice, even a deceased family member. It's all very it's all very high tech, and it's all very new to me, but very interesting.
All technology, like AI copies of loved ones, can offer us a way to preserve memories and continue feeling connected after someone passes. It's important to remember that healing comes in many forms. Just as we cherish the memories of those we've lost and loved, there are also individuals among us who are healing from other deep wounds, whether it's the loss of a loved one or their own journey through recovery from addiction or mental health struggles. This brings us to another form of healing we should recognize, especially this September during National Recovery Month. National Recovery Month. Every September, we observe this month to raise awareness about recovery from mental health issues and substance abuse disorders. Since 1989, National Recovery Month has been a time to not only promote new evidence-based treatments, but also to recognize the incredible strength of the recovery community and the professionals who make it possible for everybody. Recovery is a journey, one that's deeply personal and different for everybody, whether somebody is struggling with addiction, trauma, or other mental health challenges. The road to healing is quite unique, and it's important to honor each path. What Recovery Month does is remind us all that recovery is not just possible, but it's happening every single day for all types of people in the caregiving community. We know how vital it is to have support systems in place. Many of us have cared for loved ones who are in recovery or perhaps are in recovery ourselves. It's in these moments of care, love, and dedication that we find the strength together. This month is also a chance to acknowledge the service providers who are there through every step of the recovery process. These are the counselors, these are the medical professionals, and community members who offer guidance. They offer hope and healing, too. Their dedication can truly change lives. And National Recovery Month shines a light on the incredible work that they do. If you're a caregiver supporting someone on their recovery journey, remember that you're not alone. It's hard work, and it can absolutely be emotionally exhausting, but it's also deeply rewarding. Don't hesitate to reach out for support, whether it's through local recovery programs, community groups, or even just a trusted friend. Recovery is not just about overcoming challenges, it's about growth, and it's about renewal for the person recovering and for their loved ones. So as we move through September, let's celebrate recovery in all its forms, whether it's a first step, whether it's a long journey, or it's a daily commitment to wellness. Let's lift each other up, share our stories, and support one another in the progress. Thank you everyone for sticking around. I think we got to take a break, but before that, we'd like to thank a few people in the community. You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a show designed for family caregivers and the people who love them. Caregiver Crossing is brought to you as a service of Joyce House in partnership with Cardon and Associates. With locations in Broad Ripple and near the University of Indianapolis campus, Joyce House provides exceptional day services for individuals living with a life-altering diagnosis and compassionate support for family caregivers throughout the community. At Joyce House, we believe that everyone deserves to live their best life, regardless of their abilities. Learn more about our adult day and caregiver support services by calling us at 317-254-0828 or by visiting joycehouse.org today. That web address again is joycehouse.org. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back after this with more Caregiver Crossing.
We're back on Caregiver Crossing. I am Tina McIntosh in studio with Noah.
Hello.
Noah Taylor, everybody. This segment makes me nervous because Noah says to me, yeah, hey, Tina, we got a bag of questions.
We've got a bag of questions for you.
And I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years and I have personal experience as a caregiver too. It always makes me feel just a little like, what if I can't answer the question? But I'll just tell you I can't answer it. Mm-hmm. Okay,
Do
go.
the best you can. Okay.
Hit me.
So number one, we've got a good hitter here. We've got, how can caregivers manage the emotional toll? This is a hard one. How can caregivers manage the emotional toll of seeing their loved one's condition progress?
The emotional toll of seeing their loved one's condition progress. My head instantly goes to two completely opposite thoughts. Mm-hmm. So, ready? They're still them, right?
Very important.
Your loved one is still that, there's still that same spirit in there. Their bodies might be different. The way they communicate might be different. It might be more with their eyes and less with their words, or it might not be at all, but they're still them. And they're not themselves.
So yes, two different, very different things.
I know.
But they are, I mean, they're both true. So
they are both true. It can be both, right?
Yeah.
And so I think there are a few things that fall into this. One, usually if it's someone that we love, we take their condition, their behaviors, their symptoms personally somehow, and it's not personal. And so that, I think, from the emotional part is something to remember. And you find the moments to share the love. I'm not saying it's going to be easy all the time, but you find the moments, the moment when there's a squeeze of a hand or when their eyes light up and you're like, yes, like they're there and they saw me. It's when you took some time and you rubbed lotion on their hands. I'm thinking further, right? Further down the road in a diagnosis, whatever it is. But, and also know that your emotions drive theirs. So if you come in fast and hyper and anxious and you're talking really fast and you're blah, 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 that's contagious.
Oh, yeah.
Like you feel that too, right?
You definitely feel the anxiety. I mean, you don't even have to have a condition or,
diagnosis.
Any diagnosis. Yeah, anybody would feel that tension or anxiety in the room if you come with that. Yeah.
But if you come in with sincerity or vulnerability or love, no matter what you're doing, they feel that too. So there's my answer.
All right, we'll go right on into the second question. For caregivers who are hesitant about group activities, how does an adult day, or specifically Joy's House, ensure that every guest feels comfortable and included?
Oh, I like this one. So at Joy's House, and I would argue that any adult day, because we're friends with the adult days, we really do our best to get to know every person and meet them where they are. We want to know what makes them who they are throughout their entire lives. We also very much, Laura kind of touched on this too. We want to meet them where they are. And so definitely seeing their individuality through that. And it can show up in all kinds of ways, right? It's activities, it's food, it's alone time. And we also make sure at Joy's House specifically that there are places and spaces for people to get away from the group, to get away from someone else, to get away from themselves. Like, I need a timeout on occasion. So for them to be alone, to just kind of recenter, maybe go for a walk, or just do something by themselves.
All right, I think that's a really great answer. We'll go into the third one. For those who are exploring end-of-life options, how can an organization like Joy's House help facilitate some of the harder conversations that you might have with your family members?
So in the vast majority of end-of-life conversations that I've had with people, personally and professionally, everyone else is more uncomfortable than they are. They know it's happening, or they're accepting of what is to come.
They've thought about it a little bit more.
Right. And not to say that everybody's like, oh, I can't wait to die. I don't mean that. It's just we know that end of life is coming at some point. And it's usually the people around them that have the harder time. And so places like Joy's House, we have an end-of-life doula program, end-of-life program, and end-of-life doulas on staff. So we can certainly help with that. But I find that we can have conversations way easier and facilitate group conversations if necessary, way easier. And I think any of us who work in long-term care, long-term and healthcare in general, we get a little more comfortable with some of these things.
Yeah, because you've had the experience.
That's
too.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I've got one more question for you. What advice would you give caregivers who are struggling to meet nutrition needs? Maybe can't give their loved ones the exact food requirement they need.
I love that we went from end-of-life conversations to nutritional needs. No questions off the table, people.
Exactly. The caregivers are curious.
Send them my way, tina@joyshouse.org. So there were a few things. One, when you're trying to help someone eat, the placement of food on a plate is really important.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah, like where you place it and the ease of being able to get to it and get it, from plate to mouth kind of a thing too. But just visually, sometimes the color, bite size. Maybe it's something that if somebody can't use a fork easily anymore for whatever reason, they can pick it up, finger food type things. Maybe you put out apple slices instead of candy dishes. Well, that's bad. They'll go brown. But you know what I mean? Put out a nut mix or something that is high protein and has nutritional value versus, candy corns.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at candy corns, but if you're looking for nutrition,
something a little bit better for
there
your
are
body.
tricks to do that. Also, giving somebody a choice is a big deal. Here's my recommendation. You give them two choices. You don't care which one they choose. Just give them two choices.
Yeah.
When we have choice, we seem to do things a little bit better.
Yeah, it seems like the choices make it easier than an open-ended question.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And also, here's another, like dry spinach or get some of the super greens not processed, but dried stuff.
Yeah.
Put it in your foods. There's nothing to say you can't put it in that shake, quote unquote, smoothie, or you can't put it in your lasagna or whatever. So find your ways to put it in there. And then go to Caregiver Way. Visit caregiverway.com is our platform for family caregivers. So visit caregiverway.com. I know we're going to have to go here in a second.
We've got to run.
If you need anything, have any advice for us or things you want us to share with other people, email me at tina@joyshouse.org.
Caregiver Crossing is supported by Cardon & Associates, with 20 communities owned, operated, or managed in the Midwest, and more than 40 years of senior living experience. Cardon & Associates provides residents with the best senior living options and personalized service. Until next time, take good care of each other.